Crazy Normal for better health and well-being. I'm a psychotherapist, author, and founder of Rapid Core Healing, Emotional Mind Integration, PTIT Trauma Recovery, and a Family Constellations practitioner in promoting better ways of working with the mind. I've been in private practice since the year 2000, and I have a master's degree and vast amounts of experience of working with ordinary folk like you and me. And I am inspired to dispel myths and lay out facts about your mind and mental health. And I'd like you to join me in an exploration of what it is to be a crazy normal like me, only to do it in your own way so you can be free to be you. So, I'm going to talk about relationships this particular podcast and how I work with relationships now. So I'm going to start with a little bit about me. I'm going to talk about, firstly I'll let you know a little bit more about myself so you know a little something of where I'm coming from. I've had a life with lots of change. I was always interested in how things work, and even more later in life, how to find ways of working more effectively with people. People have always fascinated me. So I became a science teacher for many years, teaching physics and chemistry, and actually really loved teaching. I loved children, and I loved seeing their lights go on when they got something. I thought I would be there forever, and they would have to kick me out. But that all changed after 15 years of teaching when I met 2 Vedic astrologers in 1 week. At that point, I had no idea what Vedic astrology was, but was fascinated by the accuracy of the readings and went home with a course. This set me on a deep study of this mysterious spiritual science, and within a year, I left my steady teaching job to continue to study to become a Vedic astrologer. Of course, my family and friends and colleagues thought I'd lost my mind, lost my marbles. It seemed very strange to them that I'd make such a radical change. However, I found it so useful to look at people and myself through a Vedic chart. This is very different to Western or tropical astrology, as it's an accurate map of the planets over the moment and place of your birth that shows so much about you and your life, your gifts, challenges and choices. And Western astrology is typically tropical astrology, which is actually out by more than 23 degrees, so can't have the same level of accuracy. I have a website on this called vedicastrology.net.au with lots of articles if you want to read more about this. So as I began to give readings, I was happy for a while. But then I began to see that I was looking at a map of the soul's journey for each person. While I was helping them to grow in awareness and understanding of themselves and others in their life, I wondered what could be done to help resolve or change the deep karmic patterns they and we all are locked into. I began to see that deep karmic patterns are deep subconscious imprints. Now, I'm saying the word karma. What does that mean? Karma means action, and it comes from the Vedic or yogic traditions that believe that we're in a cycle of reincarnation. Now, I do realize that not everybody will believe this, but I'm talking to you from my perspective here at this point, and the idea that whatever action, beliefs, thoughts we have go out from us and come back to us in some way. And sometimes, even though we might consider ourselves to be good people, as I do myself, there's a lot of stuff I will have done in my previous lives that will come back to haunt me as not such good actions, right? And of course, I've got to experience it because what I give out has to come back to me. And that is what I mean by karma. So we each have our own personalised imprints, and these drive us in terms of personality, purpose, and the instinctual patterns we create or are attracted to. So my question was, what can be done to help myself and others through deep change? This led to another change for me as I entered further study to become a counsellor and psychotherapist. Now, I've been doing this now since the year 2000 and have a master's degree in counselling and a diploma in clinical hypnotherapy and many other trainings as well. However, early in this new profession, I became disappointed by what was available in counselling and psychotherapy fields, as progress was so slow, and I could see my clients needed far more effective and efficient help and much better ways of working. I couldn't understand why psychotherapy had to take so long to help people with change and healing. Many people I was seeing had both personal and relational problems as well. So I was on another journey that led me to Family Constellations in 2005. I was browsing in a bookshop in 2002 and a book appeared to jump from the shelf as I read the first page, and of course I bought it and it blew me away. It was called Acknowledging What Is by Bert Hellinger, an introduction to family constellations. Having read the book, I made a wish to see this in action, but quickly realised Bert Hellinger was in Germany and I was in Australia, and it was not likely to happen from my perspective at that point. But in 2005, while overseas, we stopped to rest, and the next day in our venue, a big sign was erected saying, "Family Constellations, come and experience it." Wow! We went along and were blown away and cancelled the rest of our holiday and stayed to do the following Family Constellation training, the first of many international trainings in family constellations. So be careful what you wish for. Family constellation is a way of looking at a problem that people have systemically. That means generationally and through their ancestors, through the context of their family system. That's because we're not isolated, but highly relational beings. We're born into families and groups of people, and into the love of the family system, which also gives us resilience. So the family system gives us lots of positives, but it also gives us some difficult stuff as well, because we're all born as helpless beings for really extended periods of time. Human beings compared to other creatures. Imagine other animals such as sheep who are born and can get up almost straight away to find the nipple, to suckle, and very quickly become independent after a relatively short time period with their mother or their parents. We as humans are dependent on people around us, particularly parents, for a relatively long time, and have to learn about who we are from our relationships that we have with our parents and our family and society and culture. Because our openness and vulnerability as young children, we sense the emotions or distress of each of our parents and grandparents, and we feel and hold that and become quite enmeshed with them. These often become burdens that we carry through life unconsciously. And that's why some of us are born into a sense of sadness, anger, guilt, and shame, and also many other patterns, and how these often become patterns of how we relate to others that come through generations until we're able to change or improve them. This is all deeply subconscious, and we're often not aware of it at all until we experience a constellation. And we are very much part of the generational mind of our family system. So we are individuals within a bigger family system, within a bigger generational system of mind and energy. In looking at a relationship through family constellations in a workshop or private session, we use spatial arrangements to help us define the quality of our relational bonds with our parents and system, and how this affects our bonds with our partners and children. Family constellations is a way of helping people come out of these unhealthy entanglements into more freedom. When we come to consider love relationships of couples, now this doesn't matter whether they're heterosexual or homosexual or anything in between or on that long sexual spectrum, each of a couple come together from their family system looking for love, and will often be attracted to a partner that holds something of the energy of a parent of their system that they've unconsciously wished to resolve in the present with their partner. We all do this subconsciously. And that's why we often find when looking back in our lives that we have inadvertently married or partnered our mother or father in terms of qualities totally subconsciously. Or we have become even more like one or both of our parents, even though we may have vowed in our earlier life never to be like them. Even if you have become opposite to a parent, that parent has had a big impact on your development. So we are all affected, whether we are conscious of it or not. In traditional counselling, when working with a couple, the task is often to hear the stories that each of the couple have of themselves and their relationship, and what they perceive to be the problems. As a counsellor in the earlier days, I would work on their love language or what each of the couple require in the relationship, and most of all on their stories, grievances, and very much their communication. I found we went round in circles, and the couple would often be left still feeling lost and upset, as trying to change the way they communicate, feel about themselves or their partner was often stubborn and difficult to shift. I found this highly frustrating for myself and for my clients, and was certainly open to better ways of working. In working with family constellations with couples, I found that each of the couple bring in with them a whole set of subconscious beliefs, feelings, emotions, and ways of seeing the world, where they often project their absent or complex relationship with their mother or father or their family system onto the other. In working with constellations for each of the couple, this becomes much more clarified and emotionally freer, as I help each of them find a healthier place for themselves in their own family system. This allows more space and a new view of themselves and their partner. I'm not working with the conscious mind, but with deep ancestral knowing that is part of the generational subconscious mind. This way of working is so much more efficient and effective for the couple, as it quickly shows the systemic dynamic of each of the couple and how it impacts the relationship, and also each of their possible solutions. It allows them to fairly quickly see this for themselves and also for their partner, so they can come to a point relatively fast where they may see the bigger picture of their relationship or family and be able to start to decide if they wish to be together or not. I am aware that not all couples will stay together, and my intention is to help those who wish to stay together to do so, but for those that find that they just are too far apart or have grown too far apart now, to have the very best separation they can have, so that any children they have can be really well looked after and they can maintain at least a good parental relationship if they have children. So they can move on in a better way with more growth and awareness as more whole beings. In helping them to acknowledge their own way of feeling and being, and helping them out of their unhealthy alliances and loyalties, with their own system. They can become more present as healthy adults, partners or parents in the present, if they choose. I've written about this in each of my 3 books: Stardust on the Spiritual Path, Be Rich and Spiritual, and Rapid Core Healing, which are all on Amazon and in good bookshops. And it will also be in my newly published book that comes out in March 2025 called Let's Take the Crap Out of Psychotherapy. I'll keep you posted on that. The reason that I use family constellations for relationships, family, parenting, and also for systemic patterns and sabotage and generational trauma and incest is that it's deep and quickly shows the dynamic or cause of the problem, and also provides an experience for the person where emotions may be released or processed, words may be expressed, and movement in the system may take place internally in the person and also in their family system, whereby people can let go of any burdens they carry and come out of the process with new perspectives and possible solutions. It does not involve talk therapy, as it is an energetic process that is also phenomenological, terrible long word, meaning I work without knowing too much of the situation, but rather in following the energy of the process through the client's body senses or through the representatives in a workshop. Often, families consist of strong women with seemingly weak men. But when we look at this in a constellation, particularly in the context of what's happened in this family system, we can see that such things as wars or colonization have shamed or traumatized the men, damaging them terribly, so that women had to be stronger to ensure survival. And yet, the women of those such systems in the present are still choosing men that they don't trust, because they're still being affected by the lingering memory of trauma in that family system. So a family constellation can help women or men of such systems to come into their own power and leave those burdens with their original family system, and particularly for the perpetrators of those wars or colonizations, which actually can free them very much up in the present. Or women that don't feel entitled or allowed to fulfill their potential because of the culture of the family that they're in, that has always meant that women have had to stay under the control of men. So again, we can look at that family system and the culture and whatever it was that started this whole pattern up, and help those women to leave all of that with the men, with the original causes of that, so that they can take more power to stand in their power as women in their family system. This can apply to all sorts of situations such as sexual abuse, incest, domestic violence, anything that has caused exclusions or shaming or blaming or victimization in a family system. All of this can be brought out in a family constellation very, very well, in a way that is respectful, actually, to everybody concerned. That's an important part of this. This may take place in a workshop where people may be picked to represent the people of the person's life and very quickly show what's going on. And not only show what's going on, help them to express or release or move or find a better place in the system and better solutions. Or all of this may take place in a private session, in person or online. The online sessions, by the way, are just as powerful as the in-person sessions. Basically, the family constellation process is experiential, psychodynamic, solution-focused, and brief, requiring only a very few sessions, even for complex issues, generally speaking. So, as a crazy normal person, this fits my agenda perfectly in giving me and my clients what they want. Quick, deep and effective help in clearing karma or changing patterns deeply and permanently. Family Constellations was developed by Bert Hellinger in the 1990s, an ex-Catholic priest who became a family therapist who was looking to find and create a new way of working that is so much more effective than the original family counselling that used to take place then and still takes place now, I believe, because this is energetically, emotionally focused and body sensitive in following relational connections so that the problems may be seen and felt and new ways of being can be adopted by the person within their system. This is a way of correcting faulty attachment bonding that John Bowlby came up with way in the past. I hold family constellations workshops periodically and am available for private sessions in Mount Tamborine, Queensland, Australia, or online. I also hold professional training. So you can see far more details if you go to familyconstellations.com.au. So while I am a registered counsellor, I always work alternatively in my preferred way as a family constellation facilitator and trainer, even though this is a very different way of working with people that provides great results for those who are at the stage of their life, often in middle years and older, where they can see the patterns rolling out and wish to make those deep changes of growth and development in being more at peace with themselves and those important people around them. So here I have shared a little of my focus in my work, which is part of my way of making a difference to people's lives, in providing better mental health and well-being. When I found conventional ways of working far too slow, cumbersome, and restricting. So for you, does any of this resonate? Is there something you can do that would be more effective or fulfilling in your own life, even though your life might be very different to mine? If you'd like to share anything with me about this podcast or any crazy normal ideas or stories, I will probably share one or two each week or each time I do a podcast. Or if you have some expertise that you feel might contribute to this podcast as a guest speaker, you may contact me through yildizsethi.com, or if you'd like to see what I offer in terms of services, you may go to rapidcorehealing.com.